Hello everybody and welcome to today's video, and in today's video I'll be doing my 2022 Senate prediction. This is kinda weird. I just started labeling them. I'm typically used to just like randomly labeling them. So yeah, Democrat safe states. Anyways, my 2022 Senate prediction. So I am about to be going on vacation, so a lot of my videos will probably be up a lot earlier. Probably more like around 11 a.m. Because I'm probably going to be sleeping in the same room as most of, if not all of my family, and they go to bed earlier than I do. And I don't really want to like keep my family up. Um, so yeah, these are all the safe states. We could see some of them slip down to being likely, like potentially depending on the nominees. Um, like in Colorado. Sorry if that was like a weird clicking sound, like a pen's. I said like a pen by the mic, and like the thing just clicked. Colorado, I could see it easily being likely. Bennett might not have enough appeal to Hispanic and Latino voters, but I see him having enough suburban appeal to be able to carry it safe. Illinois could be likely. Vermont potentially, which is kind of interesting, but I doubt it. Iowa could be likely. Like Finkenauer could do well enough to be able to push it down to likely, especially if Grassley doesn't run. If Grassley's running, Finkenauer is probably just like wasting her time. Um, it's probably going to go safe, regardless of the nominee, unless the Democrats run someone like ridiculously strong, which I find unlikely. So those are the safe states. For the Democrats, likely states, they don't actually have any that I'm going to give them. For the Republicans, they have Missouri, Alaska, New Hampshire, and Florida. So in Missouri, I've been kind of bullish on um cunts in Missouri, but I think that's probably a bit unrealistic that he only loses it by a lean margin, because I think that his strongest demographic the demographic that would help him be able to be incredibly competitive in the state, that like he would do well enough with to make it really competitive, would be rural farmers. And I think that Greetens is already a fairly decent candidate for rural farmers. I think that Kuntz is obviously going to shift him to the left, but they're still going to skew to Greetens, and I don't see Kuntz having loads of appeal in all of these bigger cities, which would probably hurt him, and probably give it to Greetens by 9% ish. In Alaska, it's a kind of interesting race. Between, I mean, like I think that it's gonna go Republican regardless. If it kind of depends on the final two. If it's a Democrat and Markowski, what's her name? The other Republican, what's her name? Um, Shibaka. It was something like that. If it's between a Democrat and Murkowski, enough of Shibaka's voters are gonna vote for Murkowski with their second choice, and same thing for a Democrat's votes. They're probably gonna choose Murkowski over Shibaka. Um, which is it's probably gonna it's gonna be pretty decent for her if she makes it to the final two. However, the problem is gonna be making it to the final two, because in Alaska, like in 2020, Trump carried it with what 10%. Probably was like 45-45%. I'm assuming, something like that, some sort of split like that. And I see Trump, if he got like 55% of the vote. Honestly, I see him. I see Alaska being roughly 55% conservative, because like there were probably 55 to 60% probably, because there were probably like a fairly decent chunk of conservatives who voted for Biden in Alaska. So like if 60% are conservatives, I would think that 65 60 it's like a 60-40 split between, like, mainly, obviously there's some moderates, but depending on how they skew, but probably like a 60-40 split. If 55% or 5% of the Republicans didn't or voted for Biden, I see them probably voting for Murkowski. So it would probably, even if Murkowski gets enough Democratic votes, I see it being hard for her to make it to the final two. Um, in which case, if it is down to a Democrat and Shabaka, um, it kind of comes down to who's going to get most of Murkowski's second choice votes, and they're probably going to split fairly evenly. So it could skew a little bit to the Democrats. there's a decent chance that it does go Republican. It's kind of it's a complex race, but I'm gonna give it to the Republicans likely. Florida, Rubio's going to do well enough with Hispanic and Latino voters. He's going to do well enough in the suburbs. He's probably going to struggle with rural turnout, but he's going to get enough rural turnout. I think I think rural voters only made up like 9% of the electorate or something. So I'll probably carry it likely. New Hampshire, um, I mean, Sununu is if he runs, it's likely. I see, given the fact that popular governors, even unpopular governors, typically do well, even if the senators, like, I really do like to look at 2016 as an example of this, of a governor who won by like 25% less than a senator, yet still beat that senator. Um, I mean, like, yes, they're in red waves, but still, even then, if it's like, what, 15, 10%, governor beats a senator by, or a governor wins by 10, 15% more than a senator, or a senator wins by like 10, 15% more than the governor, yet the governor wins, and without necessarily like the massive waves. Even with Trump on the ballot, if we can assume it's like D+4, Sununu still won by like 30% more. It's probably gonna be not not the best showing for Maggie Hassan, so I'm gonna give that to the Republicans likely. For the Democrats, lean states, they have Nevada. Utah is not safe. Is that's Mike Lee's seat, right? I think that's Mike Lee's seat. Nevada, Arizona is gonna be on like the line between being lean and tilt. Um, and Georgia, whereas the Republicans get North Carolina, and I gave Arizona to the Democrats lean, so I'm gonna give them the Republicans North Carolina lean. Both Arizona. Oh, the Democrats also get Pennsylvania. Both North Carolina and Arizona are going to be on like the lines between being lean and tilt. It's going to be kind of close, but I'm going to give them lean. So in Nevada, I mean CCM is popular enough. She's going to do well enough in the suburbs. She's probably going to be able to carry Washoe County, and it's probably going to be a fairly bad showing for Laxalt. In Arizona, I forgot his name. The Republican Mark something. I'm not even certain. It starts like a B. Brnovich, I can speak. I think he has decent. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell. I think that there are two main things that give it to Mark Kelly lean, because I think that Brnovich is actually going to have decent appeal in the traditionally conservative suburbs. Um, but I see the two things that give it to Kelly lean, because I don't think that Kelly is exactly the best candidate for the Democrats in terms of, or with Hispanic and Latino voters, but the two things, or Hispanic and Latino voters, I think that the two things that are gonna give it to, Kelly lean, like the two big things are A, the fact that Brnovich is gonna struggle with rural voters, and B, the fact that even if Brnovich is gonna still do much better in the suburbs, Kelly still is an incumbent, a moderately moderate, I guess just fairly moderate Democrat, um, who still has decent suburban appeal as an incumbent. Um, I see him still being able to have enough suburban appeal, even if he doesn't have loads of Hispanic and Latino appeal. In Georgia, I mean, like, Warnock's gonna do well enough with the black vote. He's gonna do well enough in the Atlanta suburbs. Um, it doesn't really matter who the GOP run. Either way, especially if it's Herschel Walker, he's just like a bad candidate. He's like he could be a lot worse. Yes, I wouldn't say that he's probably well, someone like Purdue I think has enough appeal to um like traditional conservatives in a lot of those or traditional conservatives, like traditional white suburban conservatives in a lot of those counties that are diversifying, but still have, or that some of the white voters that still make up some share of the electorate. But I think that Herschel Walker, I mean, like, he has decent appeal to the suburbs. He has decent rural appeal, so it could definitely be a lot worse. Like, Loeffler is just an awful candidate. She is, like, one of the worst candidates that the GOP have in a state like Georgia. But I just don't see Walker being or I don't see Walker beating somebody like Warnock. In Pennsylvania, Fetterman has enough appeal um to the working class that even with less turnout in Philly, he's still going to be able to carry it lean. It doesn't really matter who the GOP nominee is. If they don't nominate somebody strong, they're probably gonna lose. In Ohio, I see Tim Ryan having enough appeal to the working class to make it more competitive, especially if the GOP nominates somebody with little to no working class appeal. But it could easily go likely because Ryan just doesn't have the appeal in the suburbs or to the working class or to the sorry or to black voters. Honestly, so I'm actually going to give it likely because Ryan's just not going to have that appeal. Even with significantly more, if even with like significantly better numbers of the working class, I'm going to give it to Ryan or to the GOP likely, regardless of who the nominee is. North Carolina, once again, this is much like Arizona, where it could be lean or tilt, but Ted Budd, I mean, like I initially Beasley, I had only losing it by like a tilt margin because it was like, yes, Beasley has loads of appeal to black voters, pretty good appeal in the suburbs, and decent working class appeal. I mean, like that's a fairly decent. That's like three of the four most important demographics in North Carolina, and the three that the Democrats actually gonna have enough appeal to win, unless you're like Joe Manchin, where you're just gonna have loads of appeal to white rural southern conservatives. But I think that generally, yeah, she was going to be a decent candidate. However, with somebody like Ted Budd, I think that Budd takes away a lot of that working class appeal from her, which puts it up to lean. It could easily be tilt once again, just like Arizona. But I'm gonna give it to the GOP lean, just as I gave Arizona to the Democrats lean. And then the final state, Wisconsin. I'm gonna give it to the Democrats tilt. I mean, like the thing is, I see Godlewski having enough um suburban appeal. I see Johnson. Assuming I mean like Johnson is he's gonna get decent rural turnout, yes, but he's gonna really struggle with the working class. He's going to probably struggle in the WoW counties. I see Godlewski doing well enough in the WoW counties, doing well enough with black voters, and then having enough working class appeal that she narrowly does carry it. It could go to the GOP, but for now I'm gonna label it tilt D. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Stay tuned for my next video tomorrow. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Please comment your suggestions down below, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye!